Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk about the first 3 episodes of The Wheel of Time Season 2. So yeah, with that being said, there will be a little bit of spoilers in here. I'm going to go full spoilers for the episodes, and there might even be a little bit of book spoilers. So consider that your spoiler warning. So with that being said, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and let's begin. So we're back. Wheel of Time Season 2. So, wow. First of all, let me say, if you are interested in my reactions to them, I have the reactions with no reference footage over on Patreon. So if you want to subscribe to Patreon and get those, yeah, you can go ahead and do that. I might try to make some regular, regular YouTube friendly, copyright friendly reactions, but I have to basically teach myself to do that type of editing. So maybe it'll come this season, maybe it won't. I don't know. But either way, let's go ahead and talk about the first 3 episodes. First thing I want to say is there's a major step up in production value. I think they really, really stepped up the way they use the sets and the costumes and the music and stuff. It's just straight up better than it was last time. Last time kind of felt a little amateur hour. And like especially in comparison to what we get this time, just the use of the sets and the use of the music and the way the costumes and stuff all fit within the world and everything is just so much more well done. And I think the way the stories are being crafted and divvied up between the characters, I think that's also being done way better. It's a lot more coherent, even though there's some stuff that I'm just generally confused on because I'm trying to use my book knowledge as a guide, but I don't remember a lot from the early books. So a lot of this is just like, what? What's happening? And then some of it's like, I don't remember that. What? And so I'm just very much like half confused, but also just very intrigued by all the differences. So yeah, let's start off talking about episode 1. All right, so episode 1. We pick back up some time after the that battle with Ishamael. Whatever. We pick up with that little battle basically. Now after Moiraine has been stilled, she doesn't have access to the one power. So as we know from the books, though, this is a severe thing that happens to women and stuff. Like when they get cut off from the one power, often they die, much like men who are gentle, because having access to that kind of power and then losing it is like losing a limb. Like it's an incredibly like traumatic kind of situation. So it's understandable that she would have like this level of depression and be going through all this stuff. But I think they failed to capture that a lot in the show because it feels like the depression and the stuff Moiraine should be feeling is she's not going through that. She's just somehow channeled it all into just being very, very mean and unjustifiably mean to Lan. And it makes her very unsympathetic. It's hard for me to care about what she's going through and empathize with her trauma and stuff when she's just being needlessly and cruelly mean to Lan. It feels like it's a mixture of that thing they did in the book where she kind of tries to push him away in order to give him an opening to go be with Nynaeve, and also kind of a what happens later when she is like depowered. She's not completely stilled. She's just like is majorly depowered. And it seems like she is when she was encouraging him to bond with someone else when she made that basically she more or less sold him off to somebody else without his permission, basically. And it's just kind of it's like a sloppy way of doing that while also compressing it. So it's given this effect of just Moiraine being just horrible to like the closest person to her for like no reason. And it's just I can't get with it. Like I can't even when I try to explain it with headcanon and book knowledge and stuff, it doesn't really work. It still just feels way too mean for no reason, and it makes me not like Moiraine right now. And it's just like, ugh. But it makes me feel incredibly sympathetic for Lan. So a character I had no real emotions toward in season 1, I'm now very empathetic towards, very sympathetic for, and stuff like. I'm like, because he doesn't deserve to be treated that way. So that's kind of where I'm sitting with it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I also have some notes here. Let me take a look at my notes for episode 1. Because my biggest issue with it was the Lan Moiraine thing, and that was also one of the largest pieces of the story. We also pick back up with the other characters. We see Rand is just with Celine, so we don't get to see the first interactions or anything with that. And this is an interesting thing that is a result of the change of them being like older and having more like of a sex life and stuff. Instead of this like drooling over Celine and stuff when they meet her being the most beautiful woman ever and like fawning over her and trying to protect her and doing all this stuff. They just went straight up to like Rand and her are banging. Like they have this very, very like let's not tell each other anything about each other for real kind of relationship thing happening, and they're just like sleeping together in this town. And they seem to Rand seems to be going through a very different kind of set of circumstances. We see more in episode 2 and 3. He's going through quite a, at least from my memory of book 2, he is going through something very different than he was in the books. And it's like it feels, I don't know, so far I kind of like it because it seems to give him a little bit more agency in the way that he doesn't have in the book, because in the book he's younger and stuff, so he's being guided and herded along a lot more explicitly, and here it's like giving him more agency towards the different things that he kind of does in the book. So I kind of like that, especially if we're continuing with that and that's not just kind of a fluke of these first few episodes. Yes. Also, in this episode, the first episode, we get it established again that Nynaeve has the block. So I think it's interesting that we're continuing with that, because I completely forgot about her block entirely in the first season because she was using the one power almost effortlessly. So like now she has the block again. So I'm wondering, because in my memory it feels like she had the block in the books for way too long. It felt like she had it for like 5 or 6 books or something. It felt like it took way too long for her to get over it, even though the way she gets over the block, I really like that scene and I really like the idea around that. So I think that's really cool, and I kind of want them to keep it, but I would be totally okay with them helping her get past the block a lot earlier. So if she does it like in these first few episodes or something of the season, I would be okay with it, because I want her to be a player like more, efficiently, quicker. And I would love for them, because in the books, Nynaeve also was just very unlikable for me for a very long time. So I really would be okay with them making that switch in her character that she goes through in the later books. I would be okay with them making that switch earlier. I would be okay with that, just to make the character more enjoyable to watch. So far we still have the block in place, and I really do kind of want that change to come a little sooner than later. And yes, all right. Apart from that, we going to the Perrin arc. I don't really remember Perrin what he was doing during this time. I know he ends up killing the White Cloak, but I think that actually happens in the first book. But I'm not sure. A lot of this feels unfamiliar, and then it continues to be unfamiliar. But we do get one thing that I was really, really happy about. We get Elias. Yay! I'm so excited about Elias. I really want that axe conversation to happen. Like, if you grow to love it too much, then you're not supposed to do it. But like, you have to put it down. But if you continue to hate it, then you know that you basically are doing the right thing. That whole conversation, I really, really want that to happen. But like, I also noticed that Perrin has a sword. Like, why does he have a sword? Why does he not have an axe? Is he going to get the axe yet? Are we going to prolong this thing? But like, I don't know. That's kind of a nitpick. I don't want him using a sword. He's not a sword user. He needs an axe. But like, yeah, okay, neither here nor there. But like, I really like that. I like that we're getting Elias showing up and stuff. I really like that. But he hasn't done much so far. He's really just a tracker. That's kind of how he was in the first book. And like, there's this thing that they're doing with Perrin's abilities. Like in the books, the wolves will be able to send him images and impressions and scents and things of stuff they saw. So it gives him an idea of what was happening in an area, which is essentially how Elias was a tracker. And in this, it seems like he has full-on psychometry. It seems like he goes into a place and he can just see through his like wolf vision. He can see exactly what happened, to the point of it being an outright vision. And a later episode, and I think the second episode, or maybe the beginning of the third episode, it takes him like such a complete vision that he completely misunderstands reality for a second. He assumes that there are people in this location where he goes to, but it's really just a vision of the past. So that is a really cool, interesting interpretation of some of the more basic things that his wolf abilities give him. So I really like that they're doing that. And it, of course, is far more visual for a TV medium. So that was pretty much episode 1. Episode 1 was really just kind of reestablishing everything, getting us all back in place, kind of letting us know where our characters are. We got Egwene, of course, being a very studious kind of novice at the White Tower. And Nynaeve is not, she's very much going against the grain. She's pushing against everything. And I like the fact that they're giving Elida this greater nuance than she had in the first season. She was just very almost like mustache twirling type evil. Just very cliche evil, no redemption or anything. But in this, we're starting to see she really is like, she does believe in Nynaeve and stuff. And she has, like, she just really believes in the Red Aja kind of idea and stuff. So she's a far more nuanced character than they were showing in the first season. And I really like that, because that's kind of how she was in the books. Like, even though a lot of the Aes Sedai are just like manipulative and scheming and stuff, a lot of them have multitudes of reasons for doing things that they do. So I really like that we are kind of more leaning into that. So that's really cool. So in the next episode, we kind of get more about what's going on with the other characters and stuff. So we get to see more of what Rand is actually doing. And Rand is in this like psychiatric ward place. He seems to be just like kind of helping people. He's helping different people, and I think it's really cool. He's helping out this older guy who was in the Aiel Wars, and every time he sees him, he wakes up. He loses his memory every night or something, or it kind of happens fairly frequently. So it's implied that Rand has gone through this multiple times, where the guy just like yells at him, thinks he's an Aiel, and he thinks he's under attack and stuff like that. So I really like that they're overemphasizing this fact that Rand looks like an Aiel, and it's later even mentioned that his roots are red. Like, you can't hide the fact that you look like an Aiel and stuff, and you are an Aiel. And like, so I like that a lot, that's like coming about. So even though I know that they're doing a little bit of interesting stuff with the casting of the other Aiels, like Avienda is a girl, they cast this Irish woman who I think is multiracial because she has a lot of features that are more black features, more black people features, but she is Irish and she's a redhead, but she has like a different hair texture. So there's a lot of people on Twitter that are mad about that and stuff because people are effectively somewhere between vaguely racist and just overly attached to their impression from the art and all that kind of stuff. And even though she's an Irish redhead, that's still not redhead enough for them. That's just, I can't stand Twitter discourse or X or whatever the hell. But yeah. So I like the fact that they are emphasizing that to keep along with the books, the fact that he is an Aiel, so he is like different than everyone else. They also are keeping it fairly conservative in terms of casting other redheads, like other explicit redheads, and just general roles, so that he does stand out more. Because most everyone is dark hair, and there's some blondes and stuff, so it does like kind of stand out in a way that it should, like for him being a person that's not common in this area, kind of thing. So I do like that they are still emphasizing that. And as I said before in the first about the first episode, we're clearly getting Rand showing more agency in the stuff that he's doing. It's kind of like he's also with Selene, and Selene is kind of steering him a little bit, but a lot of it is very much his own actions and stuff. He's not being like herded the way he was in the books, which was something I had a huge issue with in the books. The way he was just herded around and kind of guided and led by the nose and stuff. So I really like the fact that he's just kind of, even though it's a little slow going and the way he's doing it is kind of confusing because I don't have any book information to lean on. So just kind of the way he kind of, by the end of the episode, we learn that he takes over as the caretaker for Logain. So he's kind of going through this thing where he's trying to get more information about channeling and about who he is and stuff like that. But he's doing it in, his own way instead of doing it this way that he would have done it before. So I kind of like that. It's like it's consistent with the aging up the characters. They're aging up all the actions and all this kind of stuff. So it makes sense. It's like a clean follow through. So, of course, we also still get a continuation of the Moiraine treating Lan pretty terribly, and I really can't stand it. It really bugs me in this episode because there's a situation where she's trying to leave and go off and go do something, and she immediately gets attacked by 3 different Fades, like 3 Murdral. And I love the way they showed them, like, moving through the shadows and stuff. That was so cool. I love that effect. But, like, the fact that Lan comes in and tries to help her and almost dies because it's really hard to fight off 3 Fades at once, even somebody as skilled as he is. So he tries to fight them all off, and he kills a couple of them, but he takes some major wounds and stuff. Moiraine gets slashed across the stomach and stuff, and they're both eventually saved by Alana, and her warders and stuff. Like, other Aes Sedai come in and use the power to destroy them and stuff. And so, like, even after doing that, like, he goes and, like, they're both on the ground, sprawled out, injured and stuff. He goes, put his hand on hers, and she moves her hand away. I'm like, he even just, like, damn near died trying to save you. You're still treating him actively mean. Like, I can understand if she was treating everybody shittily. Like, it would make sense to go along with her depression and all this kind of stuff. But, like, it's only directed at Lan, and I just can't stand it. It's bugging the crap out of me. And, so it just continues there. But it also is kind of implied is because she's holding something back, and there's, like, this level of guilt, and she's like feels like she's kind of failed her mission in a lot of ways. So there's like a lot of nuance to it and stuff, but it feels still very unjustifiable why she's treating Lan this way. And that's just a through line of these 3 episodes. It kind of lessens in the 3rd episode, but I just really don't care for it. So back at the White Tower, though, we finally get to meet Elaine, and they completely changed that up. So I almost basically forgot that like Rand should have ran into her in the first season, but like they didn't do that. So I like that this first interaction is happening at the White Tower, and I like the way they just played with my impression of her. I like the fact that like soon as we see her, soon as Egwene meets her and stuff, she's saying all this stuff. She seems very haughty and like very princessy and like just very uppity kind of thing. She's being accidentally insulting and she kind of realizes it and she like tampers it back real hard and she pulls it back, and then as they talk more and more, you see this just bright, effervescent kind of like just unbridled optimism she has about her and stuff, and she's just very like upbeat and stuff, and she's just got this really great personality, and there's already signs of her being like a tinkerer and stuff like that, which kind of lends to what her specialization becomes later. So I really really like that we're kind of already getting hints of that stuff. I think that's really well done. The writing is definitely better than it was in season one. We're getting a lot more subtle exposition and a lot more just understanding and nuances of these characters that last time it was just kind of like splat, splat, poster board, kind of just throw it at the wall kind of thing. But like this is a lot better, and I really, really like it a lot. And they also continue this thing of Elida being like a fangirl of Nynaeve. She really wants her. I think it's mostly because she really wants her to join the Red, so she's just really coveting how powerful Nynaeve is. So she's like pushing her and stuff like that. And because of her block, she kind of realized the only way to push through her block is to like force her to be angry. So she basically attacks her and it forces her to attack back. So it's basically understood she can totally, channel, but she has to be triggered into it. And she made a point of like, you only saw this weave one time and you were able to copy it and stuff immediately, even in a stressful situation. So it's just further hyping up the power of Nynaeve and stuff. So she wants her to be an accepted because Elida is not allowed to train novices because she's got one killed before. So she's allowed to train accepted. So she's trying to push Nynaeve to go through the arches in order to become accepted. So of course that eventually works, and by the end of the episode we're getting to start her going through the arches. So that's a whole thing. And then we, in the tower also, Elida's other plan, because she's totally playing 4D chess, she has Mat imprisoned in the White Tower, and she has Min imprisoned in the White Tower, and she just is playing, well, she's trying to basically take Moraine's chess pieces, and she's trying to figure out what Moiraine is doing. That's why she's basically captured both of them. So all the time while they're capturing stuff, we get a little Shawshank stuff going. Mat with the spoon is like cutting out bricks from the wall, and that's how he finds out that Min is in the cell next to him and stuff, and they're like hanging out and stuff. So eventually, she basically this happens in the third episode. She basically gives up on the capturing Moraine's chess pieces because what happens with Nynaeve. So let me think. Is there anything else in episode 2 that I need to talk about specifically? Episode 2 was kind of just reestablishing everything. With Perrin and Elias and with the group that Perrin is with, they were also just kind of traveling, still trying to hunt Pat on Fane, still trying to like talk about that. They're with Elias and stuff. Some of it seems like they're leaning towards that idea of maybe Elias is a dark friend, and like it seems like some of the people in the group maybe don't trust him and stuff. So it seems like we might get a little bit of that happened in the book. So a lot of that just kind of still kind of coasts along. Not a whole lot of interesting things worth, note taking basically. But the third episode, with the craziest cold open ever, we get Nynaeve going into the arches. She goes into the arches, and I was really concerned that they weren't going to do this part that well. I thought it was going to be like I thought it was going to be I just thought it wasn't going to come across that well. Because in the books, in my head, it's far more ethereal. It's far more just almost psychedelic in a lot of ways. And I didn't think they were really going to pull it off that well. I thought it was just going to be like event, blah, 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 like kind of thing. Just very simple kind of vision stuff. Because in the previous season, when they did the visions and stuff, it wasn't that impressive. So I didn't have a lot of faith. So the way they did it was really, really cool. The first little thing she goes through is very simple. And just like in the books, it gets progressively more difficult. So I really like that she goes through the first one. And then like just, it's like whatever. And then she comes out. Go through the second one. It's like tougher. The first one was her parents. And like it was just kind of a terrible memory from her childhood. And like she goes through and she comes back. and then the second one she goes through, and then it's like her fear of what may have happened to Two Rivers when she left, because she feels like she abandoned Two Rivers. So like it's all this guilt and stuff that's happening. Like maybe there was a plague, and maybe the only people left to do the plague don't even know how to deal with it at all. So they're just basically killing everybody off to help them die with less pain and stuff like that. So like that's terrible, and it makes her freak out and stuff. And then she goes through the third time, and that's the one where we get really, really good kind of ethereal stuff. So it goes in and it's just crazy, trippy, like just just crazy images and stuff. And then it seems like she comes right back out and she doesn't remember it. And it's like it's basically a trick. She thinks she's out of it and stuff, and the whole thing is terrible. And they call her and accept it and stuff, but she rejects the ring, and she like talk about she can't do this, and she leaves the tower. So I'm in my head, I'm like, what is going on? Holy crap, this didn't happen in the books. There's no way she leaves the tower, because if she leaves, she can't come back. Are they going to do the thing that they did later on in the books when they find out about all the people that didn't become Aes Sedai, but they kept training their powers and stuff? Like, are they going to do that early? Like, are we going to like do a whole different kind of setup with that concept or something like that? And then when she is leaving and she sees Lan, I'm like, oh, okay, wait a minute. I'm like, this is really suspicious. And then as he started talking, I'm like, okay, this is still inside the third arch. So I really like the way that was done. And then they had the opening come back, like the way back will come but once. But just like in the book, she kind of, plot armor slash main character energy, get special treatment on that. So she misses the way back, and she basically lives this entire other life inside the archway. She has a kid, and she's all happily ever after with Perrin and Matt. They're all close and stuff, but there's suspiciously no Rand, no other happy-go-lucky version of Rand, which I thought was interesting. So, and then like she's got a kid with Lan, and it's all happy and perfect. And then they get attacked, and basically everybody dies. And then the archway comes back fully. Last time it only came back a little bit. This time it comes back fully. And she basically leaves and tries to take her kid with her, but her kid's not there. So I just really, really like the way they did that. So in the time that she was supposed to go back, and they thought she was lost forever, Elida just basically, everybody thought she was dead. They assumed, it was a failure and that she was dead. So Elida basically let Matt go because she's like, she really does feel bad about it. The loss of Nynaeve, not only her power, but just the loss of somebody that is actually similar to her, like was really hitting her hard. So she doesn't even care about Moraine's chess pieces anymore. She's like, Matt, you can go and blah blah. She's like, just leave. And like, so they leave and stuff. And she's like really just kind of dealing with it. So Egwene finds out, and her and Elaine, Egwene is very torn up about it, and they're hurting and stuff. So they go and sleep in the room with the archers. And of course, at the last minute episode, when Nynaeve like breaks her way through, she like comes back, and they're sitting there, and they're like, "What?" And it's like, so now we got the three Supergirls finally together, actually in the same place. So I can't wait to see what happens with that. But with the Perrin stuff, it's really interesting. This feels like a huge change to me, because I don't recall Perrin having this much interaction with the Shan-Chan. So we get the Shan-Chan basically come and take over a town where Perrin and the other guys are. And he's like about to get Shanghai. They did this thing that it made for a cool shot where they're dragging him. Two different guys are dragging Perrin by his feet from like the hotel room he was in, basically, all the way out into the square. And you see all the battles and everybody being attacked and all the stuff that's going on, all from this interesting angle as it's happening and stuff. So that's cool, but it left me like, dude, just turn over on your stomach, twist your legs, and it'll break their grip, and they won't be able to hold you. Like, what are you doing? Like, so I'm just sitting there, like, the mechanics of it didn't make any sense. But he grabs, like, a log and starts beating them off, like, fighting them off and stuff like that. And, like, he finally gets up and stuff. I'm like, why didn't he grab an axe? He needs an axe before he gets his hammer. Like, it's the whole thing, and just like, and I just don't like that he has a sword. Like, I can't remember if he fought with a sword for a while in the book or not, but I really want him to have an axe just for the axe conversation, Like, so, so that entire thing was interesting to me. He ends up in a situation where he has to bow to the Shan-Chan because one of the people he's with, he refuses to say the oath and stuff and bow. And I knew based on the design of the chair thing that they were sitting in that the I can't remember her name, but the leader of the Shan-Chan was sitting in. He refused to bow because at the bottom of the stairs there's a spike at the bottom. So the guards force him down and like they speak the oath, but then they just shove his head on the spike and it like breaks through. It's so gnarly. It's like, whoa. And that was exactly what I thought about when I saw it, when they even pulled up the thing before there was any hint that this was going to happen. I was like, that's definitely like check off Spike. Like, and somebody's got to die by that. So I thought that was really cool. I like everything about this so far. I really like the improvement on the writing. I like the improvement on the sets. I like the improvement of the music. I like the improvement of the way they're using all this stuff. It's really, really interesting. And also in this episode, the third episode, we get the red coat. We get Rand in that red blazer from the famous fan art in the books and stuff. It's basically the same one. And it just looks so good on him. It's probably, perfectly tailored for the actor and stuff. But I'm like, man, that looks so good. I would wear that unironically. But of course it works better because he's a ginger and stuff, and it works. I'm like, that is some spot on casting. He looks so great. Like, I thought it was so, so cool. And then, like, the idea of him channeling, I like the way he kind of manipulates his way in to try to get help from Logain to learn about channeling. And then we find out Logain actually is still kind of insane. He still thinks he is the dragon and stuff. And, like, he just basically, the whole effort that Rand went through to get the special wine in order to get help from Logain kind of didn't really amount to anything. But he ends up, Celine is basically like, don't hold it back, like unleash it or whatever. So I can't really tell what happened. It looked like they, I guess, had sex while he was still channeling heat, or he may have been like channeling a lot and she was like dissipating it or like doing something. But it seemed like they was just, able to have sex. But like he woke up in the bed by himself and like incidentally channels fire and sets the inn on fire, and they like take off and run and stuff. So I thought that was kind of an interesting direction it's going. I don't remember a lot from the early books, so I'm really very much approaching this season like, someone who has no experience with the books. I mean, of course, some stuff I remember, like the Elias stuff, that's some of my favorite stuff in the books. So I really hope we do get a lot of that. But I am here for the changes, even though some of it's confusing the absolute crap out of me. I'm really enjoying it so far. I think these 3 episodes are really, really good. Even though I know there's a significant change. I kind of remember the second book starting off with I felt like a lot was happening. It was like this big old situation happening, and it felt like the Horn was a lot. It feels like they're setting up the Horn of Valia right now, when it feels like in the books, if I remember correctly, they already knew about it, and it was like the hunt was already on. They were starting, if I remember correctly. It was something like that. But even if this is a major pacing change, I do still kind of like it. I am enjoying it so far. It feels very, like I said, I don't remember a lot from the early books, so a lot of this just feels very new for me. So I really, really like it. It feels like a fresh experience, and I'm really enjoying it. So I'm wondering if I'll do like a wait for a few more episodes and then start a reread on The Great Hunt, so I can start doing a comparison as it's going towards the season finale. Maybe I'll do something like that. That could be fun. So yeah, all right, let's go ahead and wrap this up. These are my thoughts on the first 3 episodes of season 2 of The Wheel of Time. I'm really enjoying it so far. Let me know in the comments down below if you're enjoying it. And if you want to check out my reactions to these episodes, make sure you check out my Patreon down below. So yeah, as always, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I will talk to you all next time. Peace.